All right, everybody. Hello, it's me, Audie. I'm back again with another video. Today, I wanted to talk about the leaks that came out today regarding Pokemon. And I don't mean just Gen 10, a ton of stuff leaked. Um, Unfortunately, I'm not able to show anything because I don't want Nintendo coming and sniping me. But if you want to see any of these leaks, you could go over to Central Leaks on Twitter. I'm just gonna kind of do a roundup of them and like what I think. I don't really want to go like detail to detail on what the leaks are because people could do that, but I just want to give my thoughts. So one of the leaks I'm actually going to go into detail over. It's funny, I just said I wouldn't, but here I am doing it. Um, I just think this one is like a simple one to go over. It's the roundup of Gen 10. I'm going to read it out. It says releases 2026, set in Southeast Asia, island exploring, underwater exploring, and open world. The main themes are infinity, survival in the jungle. There's procedural generation for islands, brand new graphics engine, and it's a Switch 2 exclusive. So while all of this sounds good on paper, we all know from previous leaks that Game Freak likes to kind of concept things and never really release it, whether it's to their fault or not. But there are a few things that stick out here to me. Back in 2023, I believe, there was a giant leak that said the codename Gaia was the game, well, was Gen 10's code, and it was set in Southeast Asia. So we're now getting more info that this game is set in Southeast Asia. What I find very interesting is the island exploring, the open world, the underwater exploring. I think underwater exploring is really cool. It's going to add just like another layer of exploring to the game, kind of like the underground in Tears of the Kingdom. I was hoping that Legend Z3A would have something similar, but hey, DLC. But the underwater exploring is pretty cool. You could go and see the concept art and actually some footage even in game, I believe, or maybe screenshots in game. Very cool stuff. Gets me really excited for what's to come. Now, I don't necessarily think all of this is going to happen. I think I mentioned that already. But the procedural generated islands sounds like it's a pretty far reach for something Game Freak might do. That might be like a Gen 11, Gen 12 thing. If they do it for Gen 10, that'd be really cool. I think it would be pretty interesting to have like an island generated, and maybe you could like play with friends online, and they could explore your island, maybe different biomes and stuff, different Pokemon spawn. Make the game more multiplayer friendly. Kind of like Animal Crossing or something like that, where like you could go to people's islands and maybe buy something off their island or something like that. It's interesting to see them trying new stuff. Brand new graphics engine, thank God. Please, I kind of expected it. With it being a Switch 2 game, Switch 2 exclusive. I don't know how much different the graphics will look, at least when it comes to like the character models, but a new engine just means that we're gonna have more fidelity, which is most people's complaints coming from Pokemon in the last couple of years. Let's see here. I have a couple of screenshots of things I wanted to go over, so if it takes me a minute, apologies. So one of the coolest leaks that came out was the player will be able to challenge the final boss right away. Now, this doesn't seem like something I would do, only because I want to play a Pokemon game. It comes with exploration and catching mons and all that stuff. But it's very cool to see them actually do that. There seems to be an idea over at Game Freak where they want to make this as close to other Nintendo RPGs out there, like Breath of the Wild, where you can do this. Give more freedom to the players. That's another complaint we've gotten recently from players. They feel like they're too locked, and like an open world game was pretty locked. I'm talking about Scarlet and Violet. For a game that was open world, it was still pretty linear, and I know a lot of people hated that. So having this option is pretty cool. It opens another avenue for fans like speedrunners and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. there's a leak here that says that you'll be able to beat the game without finishing all the gyms or catching the main legendary, similar to what I just said, and those will be optional. But you need to complete those for the true ending. So I'm not sure if they're adding endings to the next Pokemon game, which I guess would be cool. Or maybe that you get the right ending when you do everything, and then you get like kind of like a half-assed ending if you beat the game with beating the boss first. But that's pretty interesting. I think when it comes to Gen 10 and all the other leaks, which I'll get into, I think one one thing I want to hit home is that it seems like Game Freak has been listening, and I mean, we know this from the previous games. Like, everyone has always wanted an open world, and here we are with Scarlet and Violet. You know, have your opinions on it, but it's still an open world. And stuff like that. Just like they're listening. I'm curious to know how much influence a company like Nintendo has over what Game Freak does. Like, do they want them? Obviously, this takes more development time, and if Nintendo wants a Pokemon game every single year, how limited is Game Freak to add these features? So it's cool to even have these conceptualized, even if it's in a leak and they don't happen, because it just shows us that Game Freak, they're hearing us like as fans. And I'm not saying I personally, I'm just gonna say it. I liked Scarlet and Violet. Performance aside, I thought it was a great game. But I think that that was the turning point for a lot of fans, and I think they know that over at Game Freak. And reading these leaks, it almost feels like they looked at that and they were like, "Oh shit, you know, we really need more dev time." And they probably went over to the big dogs and begged for more dev time when it comes to Z3A, because in this leak it says that Z3A was supposed to come out last year. So now with Gen 10 coming out in 2025 this year, so seeing this makes me realize that maybe Game Freak wants more um planning time for these Pokemon games to like really step up. And that just makes me hopeful as a fan for the future. And honestly, being that I played Z3A already, I don't think it's a bad game, but I definitely do think it could be more. Like, it's by no means just a passable game. It's very good, but I think it could have been excellent. And it's not really excellent. It's, from what I've played, it's like an A plus when it could have very much been like an S plus. We also got news for the next Legends game, which is Legends Galar. They're completely skipping Unova. I don't think we're getting a Unova remake, which kind of sucks, and they're skipping over Alola as well. It looks like from the leaks, I'll just say I don't want to make this video too long. So we got leaks for Pokemon for the next 5 years. So for the next 5 years, if these leaks are all true, we're not getting Unova or Alola in any way, which kind of sucks because those are two great generations. But maybe they're kind of like sticking away from this whole main game remaster. They're definitely trying to like branch out. Now, one leak that is, to be honest with you, for me, hopeful thinking is this remake where you go back and play 3 generations at once. I'm very doubtful this is a thing. This is something that I remember being a kid and talking with my brother and being like, "Oh my god, like imagine a game where you could go back and play all these regions at once." I don't think Game Freak is going to do this. Yeah, it's probably conceptualized for whatever meetings they have to show what plans they have and get these investors excited, but like that's such a cope thing. If we really do get this, I will fall to my knees. This is probably the most copium of them. Having a one game that plays 3 gens and then like an extra gen, it says, that's wild. I highly doubt that. We even got leaks on how much these Legends games were, and the budget that they get for Pokemon games, and it's looking here like they were given 2 billion yen for this game, and when you compare that to like other AAA games, I kind of sit here and I'm like, well, no wonder these games kind of look bad. Jokes aside, that is a very little amount of money when converted into like USD. That's very, very small for the kind of game that Pokemon gives us. Um, we're seeing games nowadays with huge inflated numbers, like $300 million and stuff like that. 2 billion yen, such a small amount of money for a game like Pokemon. 2 billion yen is approximately $13 million. And Gen 10 apparently was 3 billion yen, which is like 20 million. That's insane considering the quality of games you get. Now, I don't want to hear it in the comments. Oh, these Pokemon games suck, whatever. That's your opinion. I like Scarlet and Violet, especially with the Switch 2 update. I don't think Scarlet and Violet looked bad because it had a smaller budget. I think it was a hardware limitation, and we're seeing that now with how good D through A looks on the Switch 2, considering it's a Switch 1 game as well. Yeah, 13 million and 20 million are very small amounts of money, and it just makes me wonder like what other Switch exclusives, like what their budgets are. Like what budget do they give like a Kirby spin-off or like a the Donkey Kong game? Like this is wild. Pokemon is like the biggest IP in the world and they get $20 million. We're seeing Sony give 300 million for Concord, and look where that ended up. So that's just wild to me. Now, the last leak I'm going to touch upon before I finish this Yap session is this leak on the information about the Legend series versus the new gens. They say here the Legend series is about digging deeper, targeted at gamers. I'm assuming they mean bigger fans. And it's digging deeper into action. Obviously, they're changing the combat. Digging deeper into the worldview and history, giving us more lore, going back to other games and seeing that. Well, I see that. And then the main series is about expansion. The target is wide, including beginners and fans. Furthermore, it promotes the expansion of playthrough. This is super interesting because we've heard Nintendo and Game Freak say that they see the Legend series as mainline. So I'm guessing this just branches out the expectations of what a mainline series game is. And now I'm seeing why, with detail, why they see both as mainline games and they treat both as mainline games. You know, if they're progressing the story or rather like the world forward, we don't really get time to like sink in and go back unless it's like part twos, like Black and White Part 2, Emerald, Platinum. We get like more story details, but it's very it's very interesting to see them do like the Legend series, which are quality games, give us, you know, mainline series worthy of story in what used to be mainline series world. So that's probably the coolest part for me. Um yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to like go over. This was like just a quick thought that I had on all of these leaks after talking to my brother about it. I'm very hyped for the future of Pokemon. I'm, to be honest with you, always hyped for the future of Pokemon. It's my childhood. I don't think I'll ever fall out of love with it, no matter how crappy the games are. Whatever. We could sit here and talk about it all day. You could throw stones, you could badger them all you want, but there's no point in doing that. Pokemon's great. These leaks just showed us that Game Freak is listening. It just, I don't know. To me, it just seems like Nintendo's kind of holding them back with these dev times. But hey, who am I? I don't work for Nintendo. And I hope they don't snipe me for saying that. But yeah, this was just a quick yap. Thank you, everyone. See you all in the next one. Later. Like and sub. Do all that. Bye bye.